here while I pull my water pump off my 04 R1 so I can fix an oil leak. Now, let's see if I can get a little flashlight here, show you folks exactly what it is, where the oil leak is. So as you can see, I've already pulled my fairings. Got my bike on the front and rear stand. Missing a bolt there in my stand, so I had to make do. So, if you see here, try to do this with the flashlight and camera and free up a hand. This is my water pump inlet pipe. Water pump's actually inside the engine case there, inside the oil bath. Got coolant and a pump flowing right through the middle of oil. So, there's two seals on here. There's a seal on this pipe as it mates up there to the connection. And there's that silver ring there that you see there. That is actually the water/oil pump as it protrudes slightly through the engine casing. You'll see there it's kind of wet down here. Got oil leaking right out of here. Up here, my shifter seal. All I had to do is pull off this shifter arm, pull off the ring here. If you can see that, there's a snap ring in there, and then they just pull the ring out, pop out the seal, put in a new ring, put the snap ring back on, put the arm back on, good to go. Notice I've got my setup a little differently. Normally this bar would run back here, straight through here. This shift arm would be down here, but I've got it set up for GP shifting. This is my Vortex rear set, which comes capable of doing that. I lose a little bit of space on my foot peg, but there's so much freaking grip on here that it's beautiful. Not even a problem. So anyway, I gotta get the water pump out. So I'm gonna pull this pipe. I'm gonna pull my oil pan. Gotta remove my exhaust so I can get down there. You can see my cables here for my servo. My exit valve are broken. I've got this one zip tied down so it keeps the exit pulled in the full open. Been running that way for years. Love it. Have no problems. So back to this. I pulled the plastic cover that sits right here off. Got these wires are usually a little cleaner and in there and whatnot. So that being said, in order to pull that oil pump, it's an oil/water pump. It does both. I gotta pull the clutch assembly. So I already started to pull. So I got the clutch cover off. Basically, I just did a crisscross pattern here, bing, 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 quarter turn to loosen them. Then I pulled out all the nuts, pulled off the oil fill cap, stuck my finger inside for a grip, used my trusty rubber mallet to give a few taps on it and loosen it, and to wiggle it and work it free. Pulled it out. As far as removing the clutch cable, I had to do that first. Simple little trick to do that. I took a screwdriver, and when there was tension on here, I took the screwdriver, pulled this way, like that, just far enough so I could slide that clutch cable out of there. Simple enough, right? That's what that thing looks like on the inside. Just recently repainted it. So there you have pulling that. Sorry I didn't make a video on pulling that. I've pulled it so many times I'm sure I'll make a video in the near future. Or hopefully not too near future. So anyway, I just broke the torque on these. Oh, folks, if you're going to do this, download the service manual. Not the owner's manual, but the service manual. You need to know your torque specifications for your bolts, especially these guys right here, because I've snapped one before. As you can see, I've snapped a few of them. I replaced most of them. These are new. That's still old, original. Anyway, torque these things with a torque wrench when you're reassembling, and don't go above the specs because this head will twist off real quick, and if you're not careful, you'll be stuck with a bolt stuck in there. Fortunately for me, when I twisted off the heads, because I used a cheap, crappy Harbor Freight torque wrench, Don't buy a torque wrench from Harbor Freight, guys. Go out and spend real money on some of your tools. A precision tool like a torque wrench requires precision. You get some of that cheap Chinese bullshit crap that you buy at Harbor Freight, and that's not going to do you much good other than snap heads, which is what I ended up doing. That was a few years ago. I learned my lesson on that. Anyway, I did a crisscross pattern. I did a quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn. Now they're loose, so I'm just going to twist them all off. Once I get these guys all pulled off, I'll show you the next step as far as removing the clutch. Oh, by the way, need special tools for that. Buy the tools. Get all your gaskets. You're going to need a clutch gasket. You can use a clutch gasket here. You can use a simple gray, but it's a real mess, and it's hard to clean this here every time. Sorry if the camera work's not all that great either. I'm trying to do this quick because I've already started ahead of you guys. I've also replaced this pipe in the recent past. It actually was dry rotted and broke. It was leaking. This bike's got over 70,000 miles on it. About 73,000 miles on this bike. Still runs great, just requires maintenance a little more often. Replacing parts. I've replaced this whole water pump, oil pump assembly, which is inside here, in the past already, so I'm kind of familiar. But I'm still using my service manual so that I can make sure that I get my torque right, that I take all the parts off that I need to. Sucks you got to pull the clutch to get to there, but behind this clutch there's a chain, which you guys will see shortly, and that chain hits a sprocket on that oil pump, and you're not going to get that pump out until you release that chain from that sprocket. So pause the video here. From your 04 R1, you're going to need to first drain your coolant and drain your motor oil. Drain the coolant right here on the left side of the bike with this. Buy yourself a few extra of these copper washers. You can get them on boats.net or any one of those websites that sells OEM parts. I usually, when I buy washers and seals, I buy a few extras so that I have them on hand when I have to use them. I'm also going to remove this and basically pull this whole pipe out of the way. Right now it's attached to the water oil pump. So I'll pull that inlet pipe. That's the coolant inlet pipe coming from the radiator going into the water pump. And obviously, right down here is the oil drain plug. I pulled that out, drained it, put it back so I don't have any drips. Try to keep my garage floor a little bit clean. I'm going to have to, obviously, when I'm done here, scrub it with soap and water. First time I pulled the oil pump was for a different reason. I had coolant draining out of a hole in the bottom of my oil pan. And that is a safety precaution, since your oil pump is here inside your oil pan and it's bathed in oil, that if your coolant pump seals go bad, which happened to me a few years back, it's probably 3 or 4 years ago, you get coolant draining out of a hole in the bottom of your oil pan. So on an 04 R1, if you got coolant coming out of a hole on your oil pan, you're going to have to do this job or pay somebody to do it. And it does kind of suck because it's time consuming, but whatever. I pretty much have converted to only riding on the track now, so get ready for the next track day. So I've got my clutch spring bolts loosened up where I can hand twist them and get these guys out of here. It's a little bit tight. These springs keep a little bit of tension on these bolts, so you almost have to use a tool to get them like 95% of the way unscrewed, or you're not going to get them out by hand. I used a torque wrench or a socket wrench to do most of the work, but a little quick spin with a Phillips head to finish it off. Sorry again for the video quality. Folks, I am not a trained mechanic. I am a guy that just does his own work to save money. Save lots of money because all this labor costs a lot of money. The job's not hard, it's just very time consuming. And again, like I said, you need special tools to pull your clutch. You can get the basic parts off without any special tools. We'll set this guy aside. And I'm going to put it down. You have to forgive the fact that my garage is messy. Just what happens when you do this kind of work at home. Let's pull all my clutch plates, my friction plates. Now another tool you're going to want to have is a magnet on a stick. But this tool is going to help you. You can get the first couple of these with your hand. But these guys, the metal plates in between, better with a screwdriver. I mean, a magnet. You can kind of jimmy this guy out of here. Just take your time. Don't be in a rush, because it's going to take a while. It's just the way it works. So I generally will take these clutch parts, put them in an oil bath while they're off the bike. And if you ever replace them, you're going to want to oil bath them for 24 or 48 hours. Soak them in a pan of oil, clean oil, motor oil, before you install them on the bike. You can see you got to kind of wiggle a little bit. Get these guys out of here. Gotta work it. Work it. Work them out. See if the magnet will work here. No, magnet's not going to help me. That might be my last ring. I should have counted these. No, it's not my last ring. And the magnet's kind of doing it. These are the friction plates. There's a lot less magnetic material in the friction plate than there is in the other plate. But you can see it's working. Get this guy out of here. Again, apologize for the camera work. I'm holding the camera with the same hand I'm holding the magnetic tool. And this is kind of awesome. I got all of them out, all the rest of them, it looks like, in one more shot. Yeah. Most of the rest of them. I should be counting these so I know, but I'm not. And is that it? And that's not it. Now, there, you can also reach back here. You can see these holes right here, which you can use all the way around if you have to get back there to get those last plates out. And they got to come out straight. If you wedge them in there, they're not going anywhere. Flathead screwdriver might help out a little bit here too. looks like the final plate, which is actually held in by a snap ring, and it's a rubber hammer to release these locks by putting the punch here, tapping it to bend this piece back out. You can see the little notch in the center center part there. So when you reassemble this, punch that down. Now they say to replace this nut each time, but I've found that you can, if these aren't damaged too bad, that you can repunch down there, and that'll keep that nut from rotating off if those are punched down into those little key slots. See, there's a slot there and a slot there. So, my clutch holder tool, where did I put it? Underneath the plates. Friction plates, like clutch plates. You're going to pull 7 of each of these off. Still see, there's a clutch plate and a friction plate in there. Clutch housing, clutch boss nut. These are my clutch boss holders, clutch holder, just like a vice grip. This one's made by Motion Pro. Just adjust it where it fits well. It's easier to do with 2 hands. It's got a good grip right here. Pull it out a little bit and clip on. Pull it out, try again. It's really not that hard to do. Just one-handed operation here, guys and girls. Not going to put too much pressure on that. I just want it to hold it. I don't want to damage or break anything. Set that on my foot peg. 30 it is. I'm going to grab a breaker bar. Got my 30 on. Trusty breaker bar. Gives you great leverage. And we spin. And there you go. That's the clutch boss nut coming loose. Should be able to twist that off my hand now. Yep. Okay. A little tough there. Good job. So you're going to have the nut. There's going to be a washer behind it. There's your nut. Washer. Magnetic tool. Always very handy. Set those guys aside. Let's release this. And I should just be able to pull the clutch boss off of there. Now this last plate and friction plate is held on with it's actually a locking ring on there. I don't need to take that apart. So I'm just going to set this guy right here right now, and you'll see this part that fell off. This is a thrust washer, or a thrust plate. Sits on the back here. And sits in here. So thrust plate removal. And then we can take off the clutch housing, or clutch basket as some people refer to it. And voila, the entire clutch assembly is removed from the 04R1. Alrighty then. This is the chain I was telling you about. This chain is your drive chain for your oil/water pump. And as you can see, this sprocket it sits on came loose. So that's all good and well. I'm not disassembling the rest of these parts. We'll just leave them on there. However, I will have to release that chain. These guys right here, if they've been on for a while, they can be very, very difficult to get off. Actually, the last time I did this, I snapped the head off of one using an impact driver. And it might require you to use an impact driver, and if that doesn't work or you snap a head off, actually, if you use the impact driver, you could use heat. Put a torch on there, heat that up a little bit, and it should help free it up. I was not able to do it with heat, and the impact driver broke the head off of one of my nuts. So what I did is I ended up having to drill it out. Once I drilled it out, I replaced it with this bolt and nut. This is not OEM. This is OEM. Right here, coming from this side. So, alright, I'll get to it. Please. Oh, that was nice. Nice and loose. Great. I put a marine type of putty on these. I believe when I reassembled them, which keeps them from corroding. I learned that trick from a marine mechanic. Yes, rust is corrosion. Alright. So we'll just continue to remove these guys. As soon as I broke it free, the gasket that sits in here dropped right out into my oil pan. Cleaned it off a little bit. Metal gasket, not highly concerned about it. Like I say, I have a spare. However, I might just reuse this one again. It's an exhaust gasket, not overly concerned. It's got a little oil on it, obviously. It's going to smoke, so you get that oil off before I reassemble and start the bike. But as you can see, just loosening that nut already put some room in there. So I'm going to continue with removal of this part. I normally like to work with music playing, but since YouTube is so anal about posting videos when there's audio from music, I guess it's a legal situation, so I gotta be that way. So, no music while I'm playing, while I'm making this video. And that's it. Nuts out. I may or may not have to loosen a lock ring on the upper part of this, around the corner of this bend. Let's see what happens when I pivot. Knock off some of that dust, dirt. And it looks like I'm going to be able to, you know what? Get down there. Loosen that lock ring. See the benefit to that. Don't recall if I got to take my brake reservoir off. Got these aftermarket foot pegs, so I've got some missing bolts in here. Do I come from the bottom? No, I come from right here. That's easy enough. That looks like another 12. Let's see what happens with a 12. And I'm going to put the camera down so that I can put a hand on this pipe, keep it from dropping all the way to the floor. That ring should be plenty of loose. Now the question is, I seem to remember when I did this before, I was able to just pivot this out of the way. As you can see, there we go. I've got my exhaust without having to remove the complete exhaust system. Pivot it out of the way, and now I'm free to remove my oil pan. Important to remove this sensor before dropping your oil pan, because I'll show you right quick here. The line is a wire running from that sensor, comes around the bike and up and around, and that's going to mean you're going to have to hold your oil pan in the air or risk damaging the connectors on that wire. So, gotta get that guy off there before you pull your oil pan. I believe that's your oil level sensor. Okay, one down. One to go. Don't forget, I'll say it 100 times if I have to. Make sure you have your service manual. You want to torque this stuff properly for two reasons. One, you'll have leaks if you don't, or you'll twist the heads off of your bolts. One or the other. Neither one is good. Twist the head off the bolt, you still got a leak. Now you got a bolt stuck inside the casing, and you're going to have to be very careful using specialty tools to remove it, or even possibly having to rethread your case. Screw it up bad enough, you might just end up having to buy a whole new case, or at least the bottom part, or whichever part you happen to have left hardware stuck into. Now you get a good mechanic who knows how to rethread, drill out and rethread. That's great. Or you can use a bolt extractor, which you need an angle grinder or a die grinder, preferably a die grinder, really. And you need to turn the bike upside down or get it up on a lift so you can hold a drill bit very, very straight. Run it at slow speed while you're initially cutting that hole. Just shit I don't want to have to get into. So, torque wrench saves you from all that extra work. Trust me, I've done it. I've gone through it before, and it sucks. And you want to have a handy dandy rubber mallet or a plastic mallet, something soft and gentle that you can tap on this with while you're working it free. Whenever you're removing engine parts, you want to tap on it a little bit, work it free. Neighborhood kids riding by on bikes, having fun. Hear them screaming out there. Got got my hand down here to support this just in case it happens to drop free. Well, I'm taking out the last bolt. I believe this is the last bolt. Keep my hand under there. Give it some taps, see what we got. Still hanging on there pretty good. I'm wondering if I missed a bolt somewhere. Easy there. Heard that metal on metal. It might be coming loose. Where's my flashlight where I need it? Really need 16 hands. Damn it, where's my fucking flashlight? Alright, what am I missing here? Out. Oh, let's pull this part out. I didn't pull the sensor out. I want to get that sensor out of there, out of the way. Ooh-wee. And where do I want to put this? Somewhere out of the way. I'm going to pull my stand around, let it sit up there. Try again. Let it sit up there. And that's pretty good. Now, I don't see any other bolts, but it's possible there's one running up the middle because I got multiple holes under here. Right there. There's one more. One more. It is December 31st. Sun's going down. There'll be a lot of New Year's Eve celebrating going on this evening. I'm happy staying home. No DUI, no conflicts, no drinking too much. Staying home. I've been putting off this job because I just don't feel like doing it, but I really need that oil leak cleaned up and fixed before I take the bike out onto the track again. I really like to get back out on the track. Is this it? Finally. Yeah, there we go. You see it coming. Now I drained all the oil out, so why there's so much oil still in there? I guess it's because it's been sitting for a few days since I drained the oil. So it's settled. Drop the plug. Open the plug. Get whatever's in there out. And I'll wiggle it free. And there you have it, folks. Pull the oil pan. Now this oil pan I'll put in a bucket of hot soapy water, and I always use Dawn. Dawn is real oil removing soap. The rest of this crap, not so great. And this gasket I'm going to end up replacing. job, folks. Messy, messy job. You can see the oil pump assembly there. That is an oil and a water pump combination. This side over there does the oil. This side does the water. Right up in there is the seal we need to replace. So, I'll get that next, but I'm probably going to wait until tomorrow when there's more light. I could put a shop light on this, but it's New Year's Eve. I think I'll have a cold beer, maybe wash up, relax for the evening. From an 04 R1. In order, as according to the service manual. Going to remove the exhaust pipe, exhaust valve pipe, clutch assembly, water pump inlet pipe, water pump outlet pipe, oil level switch lead coupler, oil level switch, oil level switch lead holder, oil pan gasket, dowel pins, which are in the oil pan, the drain pipe, the oil strainer. The oil pipe, the oil delivery pipe, relief valve assembly, oil water pump assembly drive chain guide, the collar, oil water pump assembly drive sprocket, washer, oil water pump assembly drive chain, dowel pin, oil water pump assembly. For installation, reverse the removal procedure. I did skip the fact that you remove the cowlings, drain the engine oil, drain the coolant. So, let me show you some of these parts so you can get an idea what you're taking off. Tool, one hand on the camera. Oil strainer. Oil strainer. There's an O-ring right there. Make sure that you buy all the O-rings you need. You're going to replace that O-ring every time you remove this part. Oil strainer, which I just pulled. The service manual says to remove the oil drain pipe, which is this guy right here. See this or not? It's not bolted in. You just have to pull it out. It's got a rubber seal on both ends. This rubber seal here came off and was in the bottom of the oil pan, which I removed from the oil pan because I bought all of my seals. I'm going to replace them all, including the two on this pipe. So I'm just going to grab this guy with a rag. Shouldn't need any tools to pull this out. Grab it with a rag. Try to work it out. There we go. No spin action. There you go. You see the rubber seal. For now with my other parts. Next step is to remove the oil delivery pipe. I'm sorry, grab the oil pipe again with a rag. Work it out. It's got oils. It's got seals on it. Notice that oil, just pull it out. Don't make that mistake. Get under there with an oil pan. There we go, oil pan. Now, I'll take out the drain pipe. Let that oil come out. Here, should just be one bolt holding it, and it's also got a rubber oil seal. After that, we'll take out the oil relief valve assembly, which is this guy right here, that you can just pull out by hand. I don't believe it's bolted in. Just got a rubber seal holding it in place. Oil delivery pipe. Oil relief valve assembly. Just gonna grab it with a rag, twist and pull. And make sure the rubber O-ring comes out, which it did. And you drain it. Pull by hand. I pry this pipe. I actually did it from the other side. Initially. You can see coolant's now coming out. Continue to pry. You can see there's an orange rubber seal there. Gonna make sure that we replace that seal. We're also gonna make sure that I clean really well around here and this pipe before I reassemble, so that I don't have any issues. We'll go slow here. Release this. I'm going to pull this off and pull this off, both of these hoses, so I can completely remove this pipe out of here. Which might be a bitch because of this fucking exhaust in the way. I don't know if I ever removed that out initially. The last time I did this. Might not do it because I don't know if I want to pull my headers. I have to think about that one. Unless I can feed that gasket all the way up. I think I could probably feed a gasket all the way through there without having to take this pipe out. So, that being said, we'll pull a little more. Let's see what we can get here. See in there, I've got this pipe, this inlet pipe. Coolant inlet pipe is already released. That's where my oil leak is, by the way. Right at that mating surface. A lot of work for one little rubber gasket. Oh, by the way, the newer part is the black gasket. It's not necessarily going to be orange when you buy a new one. I was able to lift up a little bit here, kind of work this pipe, get that gasket off using a handy gasket removal tool. Pried it off, and using a screwdriver and this tool, I was able to work the gasket through the hole. Now it's sitting here, so I know I'll be able to replace that without taking this whole freaking headers off, because these bolts are on here really hard. I don't have an impact wrench. I'm just not going to go through that much extra trouble if I don't have to. Just got to be careful when I put the new gasket on when I'm running it back through here to get it to here, that I don't damage it or crimp it or anything like that. I usually buy 2 gaskets. Every time I order a gasket or an oil seal, I usually buy 2 so that I have spares. I didn't do that this time. Alright, so take this out of here. Again, I'm going to pry this away from the oil pump a little bit. I'm going to put another driver in there to keep it pulled away. see I got that screwdriver in there, pulled it, and now I've got my pipe right away from the oil pump assembly. Alright, now that I got the chain guide removed, the oil pump chain guide, there you came off from the bottom side. So now my oil pump's ready to come out. One of these bolts in the front also has a dowel pin on it. I can't see it from here, from my angle. Maybe the camera can see it. But as I get in here and start pulling the bolts out, one of these will have a dowel. Once I drop that oil pump out of there, I can replace the seal in there and reassemble. I'm missing one seal here. I'm going to get away without it. I'll show you which one I'm missing in a little bit. So you're going to need your oil pan gasket. These numbers could change. Don't go by what I'm showing you because they sometimes change some of these parts. So your best bet is to go on one of the online websites and look up the parts. I buy my parts from boats.net. They have Yamaha parts, and they usually have them in stock, and they ship in a day or two. You get them, I don't know, depending on where you are, you get them, within a few days. You buy from any of these other places, Pro Caliber, Yamaha Parts House, any one of those like that, you could be waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks on some occasions for this type of stuff, because although they show it in stock, they don't actually stock it. So boats.net will get you your Yamaha parts the quickest that I've found. Look up the parts on one of the other websites, get the part number, and then come to boats.net. That's what I recommend. Oil pan gasket, clutch cover gasket, 2 gaskets for the oil pipe. I'll show you the numbers on them. You're going to have the water inlet pump side. This is actually the gasket I need to replace that's leaking. All this for this one little $3 part. This is the pipe side of the same water pump inlet pipe. We've got our strainer gasket, water pump outlet, pump side or inner, part number, water pump outlet, outer or mating through the oil case. This is the one that I'm going to have to kind of squeeze through from the inside to the outside. Show you those numbers. So basically these two are on the same section. These two are the same section. These two are the same section, not the same gasket. And your drain pipe, these are the same gasket. These are the little tiny ones. One goes on each end of the drain pipe. If you paid attention to the video at all, you should be able to determine what the drain pipe is. If you have your service manual, you should be able to determine what the drain pipe is. Folks, I'm not a mechanic. Don't sue me because I didn't know something or you screw up when you're doing your own work. It's on you, all on you. I'm showing you here what I do, not showing you what a manufacturer might tell you. Somehow I failed to order. It's the one that goes on the oil relief valve assembly. I'm not going to replace it. I'll just use the same one. I don't think there's going to be any problem with oil and coolant leaking if they're into each other if this gasket fails, or O-ring. So I'm not super worried about this one. Actually, not worried about it at all. I removed them both, one here and one here. There is also a dowel pin right in here. The water pump is slightly loose. As you can see, it'll move, but it won't come out. This dowel pin needs to be removed. As you can see, this housing is notched, so I can actually reach in there with a needle nose, hopefully. I'm going to be gentle because I don't want to scratch anything with this metal on metal contact. There you go. Water pump removed. I'm going to clean the mating surface there. I'm going to clean this, throw on the new gasket, oil ring, and go back to reassembly. That's your oil pump side. That's your water pump side. There's my oil pan. You'll notice this is the front, this is the back. Something that I found is that this hole right here, if you got coolant leaking out of this, you got a bad seal in your water pump. When I first did this several years ago, I had to do it because I had coolant draining straight out of this hole, which really confused me. I didn't understand how coolant could be leaking out of a hole in an oil pan. Didn't make sense. Now it makes sense. One of these pipes, I believe it's this pipe right here, comes down, mates here, and this is where the coolant would leak out. I'm sure that's a bolt hole coolant release. This tool, I bought this real cheap in an auto parts store. It came in like a 6-pack, different lengths and sizes. This is like a seal remover, O-ring remover. So if you notice, I just take this guy in here, and look at that. That's where that O-ring goes. So I'm just gonna pull the old one out. Bing. Alright, very good. So this is where that O-ring goes. So I'm going to clean that again, make sure I get any dirt or anything out of there. And then I'm going to I'm going to put my O-ring. Everything gets torqued properly according to the service manual specifications. I am not showing you the service manual because I don't want to get some sort of problem with copyright infringement. I'm going to show you as I go here the torque values, or I'll tell them to you. These two mounting bolts for the water pump, the torque 8.7 foot-pounds. Oil pipe 7.2 foot-pounds. Those are your torques. Oil pipe pump 8.7 foot-pounds according to my service manual. 7.2 foot-pounds. Remember, all these bolts get Loctite. All of them get Loctite. Everything again, make sure you clean all your parts really well, especially the mating surfaces where any O-rings are or gaskets are. Inside here, this is where the oil pipe, the coolant leaking pipe, forget what it's called, the coolant will leak out through this hole in the event of a seal failure. Make sure you get in there and clean that out too. It's kind of exposed to the street. It gets a lot of crap in there. I wash this with warm soapy water very well, inside and out. It's completely dry now. Make sure you don't get any water inside your oil area. Make sure your dowel pins are in place. There's two of them. I have one right here. The other one goes right here. It's in the underside of the motor. The oil pan bolts, torque, 8.7 pounds. Another rubber seal, oil ring, O-ring, that I did not purchase, and I cannot find it online. On the parts catalog, they just don't have it. It's the oil switch, oil level switch seal. I can find the oil level switch online in the parts catalog, but not the rubber seal. My rubber seal seems to be in great shape, so I'm just going to reuse it. Up here, 7.2 foot-pounds torque, water pump outlet pipe, single bolt right here, 7.2 foot-pounds, 7.2 foot-pounds of torque. Oil level switch torque, 7.2 foot-pounds. Oil drain plug bolt, 32 foot-pounds of torque. Service manual also says replace the crush washer each time. I generally reuse my crush washer over and over. I do keep some spares on hand. Whenever I order one, I usually order 2 or 3. That way, even though I'm reusing my crush washer, if it does start leaking, I have one on hand I can replace it with. You got an R1, 04, 05, 06, or maybe even other years of it. You got a really loud rattle in your clutch. You read a bunch of stuff online. Some people say replace the clutch plates. Some people say replace the entire clutch boss, the inner piece, and the clutch housing, the outer piece. Let me tell you what, folks, I've done that. All that costs a lot of money. About $350, something like that. $600-700 in parts. I've got these exact same parts sitting in a box over there on the floor. That rattle, replacing those parts, you're not going to get rid of that rattle. Where it's coming from is in here. There's these little springs. Little springs. Built in. You can't replace them. There you go. There's where your rattle's coming from. It's not going to hurt anything. Go ahead and leave it. So you don't like the sound of it. Oh well. Doesn't bother the performance of the bike. Nothing's going to fail because of it, as far as I know. Works great. Again, remember I pointed out these notches here. And there's a point right there where that notch has to fit into. Notice the teeth on the outside here. These teeth are going to mate up with this gear. This goes on. Those teeth are going to lock in, and you're not going to be able to play with it if it fits that notch. Sorry, the camera work's not great. What I found is that we're going to line this up as best as I can. Then I'm going to reach behind the housing. The teeth are locked in here. I'm going to reach behind, and I'm going to pull on this chain a little bit, and I'm going to rotate this until I feel the housing slide on. Because this part is not flush with this part, and this won't rotate. So I'm going to reach behind, move this chain until I feel it, and I'm going to push with my other hand. Boom, there you go. Next step, put your thrust plate in. Next part, put the clutch boss. There's teeth in there. You're gonna line it up. Won't go like that, you notice? Gonna get it like this. Okay, clutch boss is on. Next step, got the washer and the boss nut. If you'll notice on this washer, it says right there, out. I don't know if you can see it in this light or not. I can see it. It says out. It means face out. Peace out. O-U-T. If you don't know how to spell. Now they say again to replace this nut. I'm not going to because my little locking tabs are okay. They'll survive another round. I might actually have one of these nuts. I may have bought it in the past and never used it. Saved it. See this little notch right there, notch right there. Anyway, we'll slide. Put the nut back on. This is 69 foot-pounds per service manual. It's not exactly flush there, like I said, but super close. I mean, it's real close. 16th or a 32nd of an inch or something. Now when I had it wrong before this, you didn't see it on video. It was like an 1/8 of an inch off. So again, I'm confident I got it where it needs to be. And then I'll slide on my clutch plates. Everything goes a metal plate and then a friction plate, then a metal plate and a friction plate. And you can see the exposed plate in here is a metal plate. So my next plate I'm putting on is a friction plate. So got all my plates and metal plates in except the last friction plate. Now I've seen guys put all their friction plates in line like this. I've seen guys put their last friction plate in like this. And these guys, I've seen them disassemble their bikes, disassemble their clutch like that. When they reassemble it, they put it like that. I've seen guys disassemble their clutch when it was like this and reassemble it like this. It goes like the last plate fits here. Doesn't line up with the rest of them. It lines up in this separate notch. Doesn't allow it to go all the way in. The reason I believe it's like that is because I reviewed my video, this particular video, and when I was disassembling, you can clearly see this last plate was sitting in this notch here, not in line with the rest of them, but sitting right here. So there you have it. That's how I'm reassembling. I put my cover back on there. Not a cover. Put that guy on there. Put a bolt in to hold it in place so it doesn't drop off on me. Put one in on the opposite side. Now when you put these back together, as with any parts that you torque, you really should be using a crisscross pattern, especially with these bolts with these springs. You're going to put them back on. I'm going to have them all in. Tighten them up a little bit. Tighten up. Tighten up. Tighten up. Tighten up. Tighten up. Bing, 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 bing. Bing, bing. Bing, 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 bing. I'm sorry, bing, 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 etc. With these springs, you're only going to want to put a little pressure on each one at a time, and so you can have everything go in straight together. And when you get to your final torque, 7.2 pounds, 7.2 pounds on these. And again, I'll do everything hand tight before I put a wrench on it. But when I do put a wrench on it, I'm little by little, 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 till I get it all the way down to the point where I need to put my torque wrench on it. And then I'll torque them all crisscross pattern. Again, do not go past the torque values on these. If you do, you'll snap this head off. I've done it before. Fortunately, when I snapped it off, there was enough of the bolt sticking through that I could grab it with a pliers or something and twist it off. But if you get it up in there, in here, broke off, you're gonna have a hell of a time. So keep that in mind. You really want to soak these plates in oil for 24 hours or so in advance of installing them, brand new. Again, any certified Yamaha mechanics out there, if there's anything I'm saying in this video, please stick it in the comments below, and just, advise me if I did anything wrong. Help the rest of the public out if I did anything wrong or I'm not showing you something right. Um, so other than that, be nice to me, folks. I'm just I put a lot of work into this video. Trust me, I didn't have to make this video. Okay, so I put a lot of work into this just so I could show you guys and girls what I do, how I do my work, and hopefully it'll help you if you don't, if you've never done this before. These bolts, when I put the cover back on, they're going to be torqued to 8.7 pounds. These guys, 7.2.